Welcome to the Porn Reboot podcast, where you get practical tips to gaining control over your porn or sex addiction. We help ambitious men end their out-of-control sexual behavior with pornography, sex, and masturbation so that you can maximize your life, perform at your potential, and remain in control in the driver's seat, which is where you have to be in order to gain or maintain the success you want in life. I'm your host, J.K. Emezi, certified sex and porn addiction recovery coach. Welcome to the episode.
3 reasons why we suffer as porn addicts. Being a porn addict is constant suffering. And I don't care whether you call it a habit, whether you call it a dependence, whether you call it a compulsion. I really don't give a damn. What I do know from living with this for so many years is that we suffer. And I'm going to break down why. The first reason is that we expect that the things in our lives that are always changing should be things that are tangible. We want to be able to hold on to the things that are changing and stop them from changing. Or at the very least, we want them to be predictable. We are like people in a boat that is falling apart, and we're trying to grasp the water. Our addiction, your addiction, and my addiction that I lived with for so many years, it comes from a reaction to the fluidity of the world. The world is in a constant flux. It's constantly changing. You learned how to masturbate. You liked the girl in high school. You were never able to get with that girl. You were not popular. You experienced some sort of trauma while you were growing up. You lost someone. Your dad wasn't present. You lived in poverty. You lost a loved one. You experienced a breakup. You experienced betrayal. All these things, time passed. The world kept changing. Nothing was ever predictable for you. So we expect that what we have in our life, we want it to stay, but it doesn't. Pornography was one of the few things that gave you a sense of predictability. You're like, yeah, if I engage in this, then at least I have one thing, one feeling that I can rely on. But look around you, brother. Everything else has changed. So in your head, you feel that you're grasping onto something. You feel that you have certainty, but you do not, because time doesn't give a damn. The boat is falling apart, and you are grasping water. When you view pornography, nothing remains the same. And this is the first reason why you suffer. The second reason why you suffer is that you act as if your identity is fixed. What I mean by that is you've defined yourself as somebody. You're like, I'll use myself as an example. I could say, I am JK. Back then, I'm JK. I am in sales, and I sell books door to door, which was what I did for many years. Or I am a great salesman. And I got security from how I defined myself. I got my self-worth from that. Some of you may also gain security from defining yourself as a worthless person. Like as a person, like, you know what, I am John and I am not worthy of being loved. Women don't like me. I don't have anything in my life that I could give to someone, or I don't have any inherent traits that another human being would find attractive. So I am worthless. And sometimes as we get more successful, we act as if that identity is fixed as well. We act as if I am Kevin. I'm married. I make $150,000 a year. I have a wife and 2 beautiful kids and a golden retriever, and I live in a suburb in Idaho. I have a great job as a plant manager of XYZ. Like, we have this fixed identity. But the reality, gentlemen, is that identity changes. Kevin making $150,000 a year could quickly go to Kevin who just lost his job. He could quickly go to Kevin who found out that his wife was cheating on him. He could quickly go to Kevin whose daughter fell in the pool and drowned. He could quickly go to Kevin who learned something horrible about his past. And the identity changes. Kevin who lost all his stocks. Kevin who made a bad crypto investment. Kevin who found out something about his parents. I don't know what it could be. But the point remains that our identities constantly change. But more important than that, we are not our identity. Think about it. You were a child, then you were a teenager, then you were a young adult, then you are a middle aged adult. One day you will be in your 60s if you're not already, and then your 70s and your 80s, and your body will shrink, and your children will no longer come to visit you, and you may be in an old folks' home. Or worse, what is your identity then? If your identity is still fixed, my brothers, on when you're 80, it's still fixed on where you were in your 50s. When you're 40, it's still fixed to where it was at 25. Or when you're 32, it's still fixed to where you were when you were in high school, which manifests itself in pornography. You're still wanting to be with the teen girls. You're still wanting to be cool. But now you're 39 and you want to be cool. You're 42, you're 43, and you're just like, oh my God, I'm old. There's so much shit I wanted to do with my life in my 30s. What can I do? I want to grasp on to that identity. That's where the midlife crisis comes from. But ultimately, we are none of these things. We are consciousness. We are something beyond that. And whatever you want to call it, you can call it consciousness, you can call it something else. But deep within you that communicates with God, that you that observes your mind, that you internally is neither a boy or an adult or an old man. That you is conscious. It is just there. And the more you can get in touch with that you, that is a being beyond old and young, the happier you will be. Unfortunately, as porn addicts, one of the things we do is we grasp and hold on so much to that fixed identity. Now you might be thinking, well, JK, it sounds like everybody would do that. The one thing with us is our behavior with pornography, our sexual behavior is a manifestation of that grasping on to the fixed identity. It is a deep desire to hold on to that. It is the certainty of our fixed identity. So next time you slip, next time you relapse, ask yourself, why am I acting in this way? What is it about my identity I'm holding on to? And the third is, we keep looking for happiness in all the wrong places. I think this one is obvious. However, we're like a moth that's flying towards a flame. We mistake suffering for happiness. We watch pornography to gain relief from the anxiety that comes from watching pornography. You watch pornography, you deplete your dopamine. You watch pornography, you don't have any endorphins. You watch pornography, and the only way to get happy is to go out there and to get triggered again, is to go out there and to start seeking that stimuli again so that you can feel better about yourself. You experience shame, you feel bad, you feel like crap after you watch porn, or you act out sexually, and then you watch more porn a few hours later or a few days later to feel better about the shame. And we say things like, well, you know what, it would be easier if our addictive behaviors did not feel so pleasurable. And we end up reinforcing all our dysfunctional patterns in the long term by focusing on short-term pleasure. We become incapable of dealing with the slightest and the most vague discomfort. I remember that for most of my life, I could not deal with discomfort. If there was some sort of weird feeling, it could be a weird sadness. It could be a weird like anxiety. It could be a weird insecurity about something. I had habituated myself to reaching out for pornography. What is it that you do when you feel like, you're like, man, I feel a little bit off. I feel discomfort. I feel insecure. I don't feel safe. You've not even taught yourself to identify what that feeling is. This is why one of the first things we do when men become a part of our program is we teach them to identify their feeling, to check in with their heart. What is it that I feel now? If you don't know how to identify a feeling and you're a head guy, like by head, I mean like you try to identify emotions in your head, then stop doing that. If you're like, I don't know how I feel, that's because you're using your fucking head too much. Switch it to, how do you feel in your heart? Like in your chest, in your heart area. What is the feeling that comes up in your heart? And I guarantee you, if you can't think of it in your head, you will feel something in your heart. What is that? Oh, it's anxiety. I feel anxious about something. I don't know what it is. And guess what? It doesn't matter what it is. What matters is you have observed that you are anxious. And because you've observed you're anxious, guess what? You don't need to do anything about it. Who said you need to do something about it? Who gave you that idea that when you experience an uncomfortable feeling, you had to do something about it? You feel angry. Just watch the fucking anger, bro. You feel sad. Just watch the sadness. But at some point in your life, somebody, something in society said, oh, if you feel sad, let's go watch a movie. If you feel anxious, go eat something. If you feel uncomfortable, go drink something or go smoke something. And that's how you ended up with pornography. Because you haven't learned to raw dog life the way you were meant to. And don't get me wrong, alcohol doesn't exist by accident. Caffeine doesn't exist by accident. Marijuana does not exist by accident. Pornography and the ability to masturbate does not exist by accident. But at the same time, we were not designed to reach for something habitually to change our state. Again, this comes back to our way of trying to make life predictable. I want to feel pleasure most of the time. I don't want to feel anxiety. Oh shit, why is there anxiety now? I'm going to watch porn immediately. I'm going to jump on Instagram. I'm going to jump on TikTok. I'm going to do something to move my mind away from this because I need to move to something predictable. I want control. Now, there's a saying I heard that I like it very much. At the end of the day, there is no cure for hot or cold. If you're hot, like heat, if you experience heat, heat is heat. Cold is cold. There's no cure. When you look at the way it exists in nature, it exists as hot and cold exists as cold. And when you start living in tune with nature, when you start accepting that sometimes life is going to be hot, emotionally, physically, otherwise, and sometimes life is going to be cold, and you can roll with it without reaching for pornography, my brother, your life is going to be so much easier. And these are the reasons why we suffer. Your reboot from pornography does not have to be a separate thing from your life. Your reboot from pornography can quite literally be your path to your salvation, your spiritual salvation. And I do not mean that in a Christian way. I mean that in a human way. It can be your path to finding your own philosophy in life. For me, it was my path to discovering my work ethic. It was my path to discovering my feelings and my emotions. It was my path to learning how to be in relationships. It was my path in learning how to be emotionally strong. It was my path in learning all the skill sets that I needed to communicate with people. All of it stemmed from my learning how to control my sexual behavior. And if you're sitting there going like, oh, I wish I was this, I wish I was that, I wish I was wealthy, I wish I was hardworking, I wish I was disciplined, I wish I was charismatic, I wish I could speak publicly, I wish I was confident, I wish I didn't give a shit. All these things right in front of you, that behavior you struggle with the most, on the other side of overcoming it is everything you want, but you don't really want to. You're still caught up in like, oh, but it's shameful, but I'm not really an addict, but I think I can do it with willpower. Then keep fucking playing those games and keep fucking losing in life. Keep losing in life. I'm pulling no punches because this podcast has ran for so long. Sometimes I look at the years that I've done this. I'm like, wow, 10, 11, 12, 13, November, like around this time next month, will be 17 years porn free. What the fuck? And what have some of you guys been doing in the 13 years that I have been talking about this? Playing fucking games with your life. Year after year after year after year, you keep playing games of willpower. You keep lying to yourself. You keep rationalizing. You keep doing all these things and wasting your life away. My brother, stop the suffering. Stop the suffering. Book a call. Get on a fucking call with us, bro. Pick up the phone. Make it to that fucking schedule. If you put that shit on your calendar, your ass needs to show up and speak to the coach. I need help with my behavior with pornography. And no, you can't be broke when you do that. Go get a fucking job. Don't take your jobless ass to alcohol. I'm serious. It costs money. But we will still work with you. We'll do payment plans if you can't afford it. We'll work with you. We'll be flexible. And if you're just like, oh my God, it costs money, I just don't know, then fuck off. Then fuck off. Things cost money. So there was a guy, before he showed up to the workshop a few weeks ago, he messaged me. I looked at his name and I was like, wait a fucking minute. This dude has been emailing me. This name is familiar. This dude had been emailing me for 6 years. 6 years. You know what he emailed me for this time? He emailed me to ask for a resource. He was like, yeah, I know you, JK, I know all your stuff is out there for free online. I know you say like everything that's in the program you can find for free. I was like, yeah, you can. It's just going to take you years to implement it. And it's apparently taken him years because 6 years on, he's still asking me for some random shit that I put online, I don't know, 9 years ago. It's an old man. Old. He's like in his, I don't know, he looks like he's in his 60s, but he's probably in his late 50s or his mid 50s. Or maybe he's 50. I don't know with porn addicts. When you've been jerking off, when you hit 40, you fall apart when you're addicted to pornography. I don't know how old he is. Let's just say he looks 60 in his 60s, but bro is probably in his early 50s. And I messaged him and I was like, brother, your emails to me go back 6 years. And I know you have a job. And I know what you do for a living. And I know you're a smart guy. I'm like, may I know why you haven't scheduled a call with one of my coaches? He's like, I'll be honest with you, JK. He's like, it's 2 reasons. He said the first reason is my finances, which is very interesting because I knew when this brother had money. Like, I literally know we had so many conversations back and forth with emails when I used to respond to emails all the time. So I knew he could afford it back then. Now he can't. And then he said the second reason is because I find that when I'm around men who are talking about pornography, I have a tendency to get triggered and I relapse. So I just stick to myself and try to do stuff on my own, which is pretty sad that 6 years later, this guy has so little control from using my material that hearing other men talking about pornography triggers him, and he has made himself believe that he's so powerless in that situation. It is sad. This guy showed up to the workshop and he looked raggedy as fuck. He did not look like the distinguished, well-dressed gentleman. And I had seen pictures of him. I mean, when I talk with people, They share stuff. They have their social media, different. Bro looked raggedy. Raggedy. It is sad, gentlemen, to watch some of y'all just fucking piss away your life. On another note, before I wrap this up, I had another conversation. I had a conversation with another brother. And this brother, at the beginning of the year, he was devastated. He was running out of money. When I say running out of money, bro was like, I don't know if I can make my rent next month. Running out of money. He didn't know what to do. He was chasing his dream career and it wasn't working out. And so I had a lot of what we call take 20s with him. He's in the intensive program. And he was at a point where he's like, bro, I can't even afford this program anymore. I was like, say less. I'll support you. Let's just get on the one-on-ones with me, okay? There's no extra cost. It's included in the program. So he was getting on these one-on-ones with me. I only need 20 minutes with you a week. That's it. And sure enough, slowly but surely, things started turning around. I worked with him to let go of some core beliefs he had about certain things, around money, around his work. He let go of this thing that he thought was such an important dream, but it wasn't paying his bills. He picked up something else. When I say he let go, I mean he hit pause. This other thing he picked, within weeks it took off, and money started coming into his bank accounts. And he started feeling better about himself. And he stopped slipping so often. And he started having a renewed interest in the program. And he wasn't stressed all the time. And other areas of his Reboot capital, like then he started going to the gym more because he was making a little bit more money and he wasn't just always waking up and stressing. He started meditating more and reading more because he had that space in his life that wasn't about constantly worrying about making the next dollar. And today we had a call and he was at a point where he's like, I'm ready to focus on my relationships now. January was when bro was falling apart. It's October now when we had this conversation. This year has gone by really, really fast. Some of you are pissing your year away. While there's some guys who are like, my year is so fucking phenomenal, I can't even believe I turned it around. That is what we do in the Porn Reboot program. We transform men's lives. We turn your shit around. That is what this program is about. It is about transformation. And if you're sitting there listening, going like, oh, well, I'm just trying to quit porn, then you're a fucking idiot and you still don't get it. I'm going to be at 700 episodes, and some of you would have listened to all fucking 700, and you'll still be sitting there going like, yeah, it's all about quitting porn. No, dumbass, it is not about pornography. It was never about pornography. It is about transforming who you are. Pornography is just the manifestation of something else that is happening in your life. And what I do on these podcast episodes is I'm not here to fucking educate you. Go listen to one of these other these undercover Mormon porn recovery coaches, these nice guys and nice girls out there trying to be like therapeutic and all that shit. Go listen to them. What we do is we actually end your behavior permanently. We're not playing games. This isn't shit from books we read. This is from guys actually ending their behavior. Fuck a book. This is like life experience. I lived with this shit. All the guys in our program lived with it. It is real life experience. It is raw and gritty, and it works. And what I do on this podcast is I deal hope. That's all I do, because that's what I needed. I needed hope. I needed somebody to tell me that, dude, you got this. Get your ass up. Wake up. Wake up. I needed somebody to speak to my higher self and remind me, wake up. Bro, wake up. Wake up and do something about your life. If you are coasting, if you are feeling you're just like, bro, I am so apathetic, JK. I'm just so apathetic. I usually go through these dips and then I come out on the other side. Have you noticed that you dip, come out, dip, come out, dip, 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 come out, dip, 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 come out, and then the dips keep getting deeper and deeper. Some of you will fuck around and you keep getting into these dips. Let me tell you something. As you get closer to 40, it becomes harder to get out of those dips. And by the time you hit your 40s, motherfucker, you're going to live in the dip. I used to say this episodes ago, maybe about 300 episodes ago. I used to say this a lot. I used to talk and caution you guys that the worst thing to be is a 40-year-old porn addict. I can help you, but you need to be ready to do some hard fucking work. And those of you who are in your late 20s, the older you get, once you hit 30, homeostasis kicks in. Your brain and your body does not want to change. It wants you to fucking die. And if you have a compulsive behavior, your life is going to be hard as fuck. And once everything has wired, and yes, the brain is neuroplastic, yeah, it can change, it can, all these things, it is way harder than you think it is. All your bad habits would have robbed you of time. All your bad habits would have robbed you of hope. All your bad habits would have robbed you of money and the space you need to put in the work. You're not going to be some like rich guy who has, oh yeah, I have all the time in the world to work on my neuroplasticity. You may have money, but you're working your ass off to maintain that. You don't have the time to be a gentleman of leisure and focus on rewiring your brain when you're in your late 30s through your early 40s. You won't be able to sit down with me. You won't have the time. And this is also my last year of group coaching, dumbass. So if you've been waiting, if you've been coasting, if you've been apathetic, please wake the fuck up and get on a call with one of our Reboot strategists, have a conversation and ask them, how can I work with your best fucking coaches? How can I get on a call with JK? How can I transform my life?
I'm JK, your brother in this struggle. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Porn Reboot podcast. I'll speak to you later on in the week. If you found this episode helpful, here are 4 ways I can help you with your out-of-control sexual behavior for free. The first way is to grab a free copy of my book, Confessions of a Porn Addict, 7 Secrets of Porn-Free Men at elevatedrecovery.org, or visit the link in the description below this episode. The second way is, if you're not sure where to start, but you'd like to learn more about my team and I, if you'd like to spend time with like-minded professionals and business owners who are controlling their behavior, then join our free and confidential group, the Porn Reboot group on Facebook. There's a link to join in the description below this episode. The third way is if you need help right now because you have a burning issue, your behavior with pornography is hurting you mentally or emotionally, you're about to lose your relationship, you want to live up to your potential, be an authentic man, and free yourself from shame, guilt, and underachieving, then click on the link in the description below this episode that says free coaching call. And the fourth way is to leave us a 5-star review if you enjoy this podcast, so that we can reach more men who are struggling in silence and bring back the lessons we learn from coaching them to freedom.